viewers, welcome to a fresh episode of Speak Up, live on Union 406 TV. I am your host, Oluwadablare Adeyemi. And of course, I'm not alone in the studio today. I have my co-pilot here.
I am Oluwabukola Popola. It is indeed a beautiful day and I hope you are having a nice time. In case you're just tuning in, yes, as it says, it is Speak Up, live on Union 406 TV.
The program Speak Up is designed to explain and look for solutions facing young ones, especially those in higher institutions, because they are very far from home and they only get to see their parents once at the end of the semester.
So they need guidance to know what they are doing, then they can be able to have a healthier life and be able to face their academic pursuits and be successful.
On the program today, we'll be discussing a critical issue which has become so rampant in our campuses today and in Nigeria at large, which is suicide.
Yes, suicide. It is now a case and we hear it every day. There was a time we hardly hear people, especially the youth, committing suicide. But these days, it is as if everywhere today has a case of suicide. Suicide is a global public health problem and Nigeria is one of the epicenters of suicide. World Health Organization research shows that Nigeria's suicide mortality rate for 2019 and 2018 was 3.50%, 0.72% increase from 2017. Today, we have a seasoned and renowned guest in the studio to help us do justice to the topic. But before we go into the discussion proper, we will go on a short break. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back. Program. If you're just joining us, you are live on Union 406 TV and it is Speak Up, a melting point of ideas. Alright, it is time to introduce our guest. First, we have a social worker who is also a linguist. She lectures on psychoeducation on deviant students. She has been working with the rehabilitation centers. She also advocated on behalf of the centers for the maintenance of students. Now she is a volunteer at JC Foundation and CEO of Lisa African Fashion House, Iwo Road, Ibadan. She is Mrs. Elizabeth Ihane. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Also in the studio with us today is a bigwig in academia, a scholar and a renowned lecturer of history. Also doubles as the Subdean Student Affairs, College of Humanities and Culture of Osun State University, Ikire campus, in person of Dr. Adewale Adeleke. You are welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to join you on this.
Looking at suicide, Ma, I will be directing this to you, Ma. With your experience, how would you describe suicide and what are the causes of this attempt?
I see suicide simply as the result of a failed welfare system. And when I say that, I mean a lot of people give up not because they want to, but because they didn't get the help needed. And people don't just give up. They are caused by issues, social issues most times. And then suicide is a result of a mental, psychosocial ailment. Let me call it that. So when an individual cannot get the help needed at that particular time, a mind sickness, exactly, that's the word I want to use, a mind sickness, and then you're not able to get the help you need, it ends up in suicide. If there are enough welfare system to help these people, they won't end up in this.
All right, Ma. Let me cut you short before we proceed. Talking about suicide as a case now, like it is an act that comes out of a lack welfare system, as you said. Can we probably assume that this lack of welfare system is the major cause of suicide? If not, what are the other causes of suicide?
The major cause, I'll just mention about three major causes, which are mental, social, and economic. That's economical issues. The first one, mental. When I say mental causes, it could be drug induced, and then it could also be schizophrenia, which will have to lead the person into hallucination, hearing voices telling him commit or her commit suicide, do that, nobody loves you, everybody hates you, and the person commits suicide. So that is one. It could be mentally induced, and it could be social. When I say social, it could be social seclusion. Now we're talking about undergraduates. Imagine someone coming from a very poor home and then being in class and is being mocked for the way he or she dresses, and then he or she feels very alone, abandoned, and down emotionally. And then it could also be marital status. Everyone is in a relationship, everyone is married, and he or she is alone. It could also be induced by that, and it could be physical, like someone who has physical challenges and is not being cared for. People are moving at a particular direction, but he or she can't move in that direction. The society secludes the person. So social also has a way of causing this too. Then the last one, which is economical. We all know everyone goes through one problem or the other, but our ability to handle it is what matters. And some people are not able to handle what goes on with them, especially financially, and then they don't see a way out. There's no social welfare for our students, even teenagers and graduates, unemployed graduates, don't even have a welfare system in Nigeria. So this could also lead to suicide.
Well, thank you very much for that. Oluwabukola, let's hear from you.
So, Dr. Adeleke, do you have anything to add to what she has said?
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. I'm not a psychologist. I'll see suicide as someone attempting to end his or her life, and at times they succeed in doing so. And of course, like our friend here has talked about causes of suicide, I agree with her. Most especially in the present dispensation that Nigeria is, the economic cause of suicide is very, very the main cause of committing suicide in Nigeria. Many feel unwanted. Many are feeling worthless now, and because of that, especially our youth, those who have attempted suicide, they've decided to end it all because they could not meet up with some social obligations. Many have done that in order to just end it up, and when one dies, so they say it will not feel the pains again.
Yeah. So funny.
And of course, it has been recorded by psychologists that between the age of 15 and 24 is very common. Suicide is very common. And between the age of 60 and above is very common. And if you look at these age ranges, we discover that the aspiration of the youth is very high, between the ages of 15 and 24. And by 60, some will feel, not being fulfilled. And of course, many will have been, disappointed in life. And because of that, the rate at which those people in those ranges of ages, commit suicide is much more than, other ranges of ages.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, even if things are difficult, as a young person who has a whole life ahead of him or her, why would such a person want to take his or her life?
Well, like I said, some who have attempted or succeeded in committing suicide will have, decided to do so in order to end it up, to end all the pains, all the disappointments, all aspirations not being met. So some people do that because of that.
That was so insightful, and I must confess we are learning already. I will throw this to Mrs. Ihanema. As a social worker and someone who is a pro in the field of rehabilitation, I guess, and all of that.
How do we help and rehabilitate those that are feeling suicidal?
Thank you very much. There are so many ways, and everyone have a role to play. Starting from the family, friends, and significant others in everyone's life. We have to watch out for them. We care for them by monitoring their movements. Most people who are suicidal would have started with different things. They mention things like like to discuss topics about suicide, and then after discussing that, you see them withdraw. Some of them will withdraw gradually. Some get into depression, some don't. And there are also people who don't even talk about it at all. They would have just said it carelessly, and then you won't know that
And
they
I guess
meant it.
that is the most difficult set of human beings. Those that,
Yeah.
that keep this emotion. They might even feel happy at the outward. Wow.
Yeah, but the people, the significant people in their lives will notice that there are changes. There must be changes. So this is where we come in. We have to care for them by being around them. You take them to places they love to be. You give them hope to life. Give them hope for life. And then so in as family members, the society also have a role to play in this, and then the government also have their own roles to play. I don't want to go deep into it, so that when we get to measures, we'll be able to, or towards the end, we'll be able to talk deep into this. But we all have our different roles to play, which is being there for them, and not secluding them from whatever we're doing, isolating them from whatever we're doing, but making them important, feel important and needed as part of a society, that their existence is needed for society to move on. Thank you.
But before we move on from there, I want to ask: it is very, very possible that we do all of this, and at the end of it, this set of people still find pleasure in taking their lives. And even out of all this we've said, we've showed them, we've lent an helping hand, we've shown them love and even the rehabilitation, and still they go ahead to take their lives. What can we assume that is the cause? What happened?
The percentage of these people you're saying is very low. You can't actually eradicate this problem. It's like saying you want to eradicate mental ailment. You can't. You can only curb it. That's one thing. And then there are measures to be taken, like people you said that take pleasure in taking their lives. It is not the problem of the family any longer. You need to refer them to professionals, because the person might be a psychopath, it might be a sociopath. So it depends on the person's the degree of the problem that will now determine the degree of help the person gets. And when they get the right help, and it's in a system that works, like I said, is a result of a failed system. If we get it in the right system, they will definitely come out of it.
Well, thank you very much, Bukola.
So, to Dr. Adeleke, people says their life belongs to them and then they have the right to take it. Does that mean suicide is not a crime?
Oh, right. Thank you very much. When somebody is saying that his or her life belongs to him or her,
Yes.
take care of that person. She may be suicidal. And of course, is to be known to us that no one owns his or her life. Every life is owned by God. And of course, when somebody is saying that his life belongs to him, let us take care of that person. Because any sooner, that person can commit, suicide. And of course, suicide is a crime, not only against God, but even against humanity. And of course, more than 20 countries of the world have made suicide a crime against their nations. And even more than 20 countries of the world also have made suicide to be punishable under the Sharia law. Nevertheless, there are some countries of the world now that have, desisted from making suicide a crime. A good example is a country called Cayman Islands. By 2020 December, that country said, well, suicide could not be a crime against the nation because it is a mental issue problem. But I just want us to know that it's a crime, either we like it or not.
Wow, it's getting so interesting, and I'm sure our viewers would love to be part of this program. To join the conversation, kindly roll in your questions or comments via text or direct or WhatsApp direct messages on 081 01 11 4213. Once again, 081 01 11 4213. But before we attend to the questions, we'd love to go on a very short break. The conversations continue. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Why? It's a question I ask myself every day. It's a question I can't bear to say. Why? Did you think this was right? Did you lose the fight? Why? This pain, was it too much to take? The decision you make, did you lose the fight? Why? Was the pain too much to take? The decision you made, you lost your fight. Every day you fought the pain. Every day you tried again. But after time, you dragged out down. The darkness, it was all around. You know you tried to fight your way, but what more could you say? I know you fought so hard to stay, but in the end, it pulled you away. Just know I know how hard you fought. I'm so very proud of the strength you sought. I'm finding a way to live in a world where you have no more to give. Strength. You asked me to find strength in a world that has gone black. In a world where you don't come back. You asked me to find strength. Even though you took your life with one swipe of the knife, you asked me to find strength. Pain too much to take. The decision you made, you lost your fight. Every day you fought the pain. Every day you tried again. But after time, you dragged out down. The darkness, it was all around. You know you tried to fight your way, but what more could you say? I know you fought so hard to stay, but in the end, it pulled you away. Just know I know how hard you fought. I'm so very proud of the strength you sought.
Welcome back to the program. This is still Speak Up, live on Uniosun 406 TV. That was a short clip on suicide. Why? Why would you want to take your life? As a young person, you have dreams, you have ambitions, you have great dreams ahead of you, you have a great future ahead of you. So why would you want to take your life? Suicide is not an option, so speak up.
Now to Mrs. Elizabeth. For a person who is feeling suicidal, that is, the person wants to take his life, how do people who are already planning to commit this act still go ahead and do it? Is it that they act without thinking about it or thinking about the consequences?
Thank you. These people really, they are sick. That's why I wouldn't take it as a crime, as them being the criminals this time. I see the society as the criminal. Because this is a crime against them, being that they were not well taken care of. So they are sick and they don't know what they are doing. At that time, the only thing on their mind is how to end this pain, how to get out of this. So it is the society who has failed in taking care of them. So it is not that they intentionally just want to leave everyone who care about them behind or to leave everything they have labored for. But to them, there is no way out. This is the only way to get the happiness they need. This is the only way to rest. So they are sick and they need help. So they are not thinking. They didn't think of what they are leaving behind or what's next in life.
Thank you very much.
It's getting even so interesting. But before we move on to the last questions and finally call it a wrap on the program for today, our questions from our viewers are coming in already. Kola, can you get the messages from your own end?
Okay.
I'm seeing some here already.
Yeah.
I would love to take this first question, and I think it's just like a continuation to your last point. about the society. So the first question here says, looking into the society, do people attempt suicide to prove something or to get sympathy?
That question is really, it doesn't have a particular answer to it. Because you can't say they want a statement to be made when they have taken their lives. So who's the statement made for? And they are drawing sympathy for a dead body. So it's actually not something with a straight answer. For instance, there was something last week, a news last month, a lady who killed herself. She first killed her child and then killed herself because she felt her husband was cheating on her, and that was the way for her to get out of it. She has tried every means to stop him and she couldn't. So what statement has she made? She has ended it. There's no statement, there is no sympathy she's drawing. She just ended it because that is how she felt was the way out of it.
Well, that's best known to to the person and God, but then it's quite disheartening because people go ahead to take their own lives to get sympathy or to even seek revenge. How funny that might be. Before we go, let's take two more questions because of our time. Bukola?
So I'll throw this to Dr. Adeleke. What are the behavioral signs for suicide?
Okay. Like, I said the other time, anybody who, has attempted to commit suicide will have stated it either through body language or even verbally. There's no one who has, attempted suicide who will not have shown, some of these signs. Some of them will say, I will kill myself tomorrow. And they would go on to do it. And some of them, they will be eating more than, enough. They'll be eating, every time or oversleeping. So these are some of the signs. When somebody is doing something that is not natural to him, we have had, examples of people who have, gathered children together, bought some chips for them, danced with them, throughout the afternoon, and in 2 hours' time thereafter, they ended up, committing a suicide. So there are always signs for those people, who, attempt or who succeeded in, committing suicide. And it is for us to watch out. We take them seriously. When somebody is saying that
is going to kill himself or herself, we must take him or her seriously. We shouldn't just brush, that statement aside.
Sir, sorry, but there are some people that do not even show any signs at all. But then they still go ahead and commit the suicide.
Yeah, well, like I told you,
there will be some signs only if those people who are close to him or her don't realize these signs. Now they may be moody. When somebody is moody, and that has not been happening to him or her before, you take care of that person. So there is always a sign, no matter how little the sign may be. There will be a sign.
All right, thank you very much. I would love to attend to all these questions, but my producer is signaling to me already. We don't have loads of time, but we have loads of questions here. Let's take this last question before we move from there. This last question, I find it very interesting. I wish we could just throw it out. And the question is, if a person seems troubled, is it safe to ask if they are thinking or if they are thinking about hurting themselves? Can asking them increase the danger of suicide? So I will throw this to our guest.
Okay, let me start. It depends on the way you approach them. Some people are actually waiting for someone to ask. All they need is that care, and they are not getting it. So it depends on how you approach them. If you mockingly come to them, they might withdraw more. And if you come to them sincerely, they will see it in your eyes, they will know, and then they will open up. So it depends on how we'll approach them. That's the way they will open or withdraw.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. The way you approach them is very, very important. Because if you approach, such a victim in a wrong manner, it may end up not even committing suicide himself alone. It may end up even, for that person to kill other people. So, like our friend here said, it's very important the way you approach them. So show sincerity that they need help, and you are able to provide that help. Don't brush them aside. Take them sincerely. Take them seriously.
all right, that was so insightful, and I must confess, I've learned a whole lot on the program today, and I'm sure our viewers too are getting one or two points. Straight to the last questions.
On the program today, before we call it a wrap, I'll first direct this to our subdean. As the subdean student affairs, looking at the university community at large, what has been the cases of suicide attempt or suicide in the campus?
Well, when we want to look at the university at large, the university is a part of a community, and the community is a part of a state, and the state is a part of a nation. So we'll start from the nation. So now what is happening, in the campus is what is happening, in the nation generally. There have been, failures, even from the government, itself. And now this has, gone down to reach individuals. When aspirations, when, there are disappointments. And of course, if you look at families now, there are many more families that are breaking up every day because of the economic situation in the country. And let us remember also that these families produce, children that are students on the campuses. Many a times some students have come to me and, they have announced to me that they hated their homes, that they don't want to go back home because they have witnessed their parents fighting, at all times, backing at themselves, at all times. So they will not want to go, back to such a home for a holiday or whatever. And of course, some of these people have even ended to attempt, a suicide in order to end it all.
I would love to start. I would like to start from that last phase of yours, that most students don't feel like going home and all of that. So that would take me to ask this: with your interaction with students, why has suicide been on the increase?
Well, the simple answer to that is, the inability of some of these victims to meet up with expectations. When a student is unable to pay the school fee, don't let us blame the parents for it. Let's blame, the society. So, and, such a student has come to hand its certificate in order to make it a life. And, the only way the student can do that is to pay the school fee, to do the exam, and to finish, the degree. But now the inability of such a student to pay, for example, the school fee, that means the student cannot do exam and cannot finish. So now when this thing, has piled up, there are only a very few students who can still, live with such a situation. And that is why those who can no longer live with such situations, end up in committing, suicide or attempting to commit a suicide. There is the example of a student who came to tell me confidentially that since the student has been, a toddler in the nursery primary school, that each holiday has always been spent by with one auntie or one brother or one uncle, one relative. That and the student is about 19 years old now. That the person has not been able to stay with the parents. So is one of those students who has attempted to commit suicide here on this campus. So now that is another thing that can cause a student to want to commit. The person has felt neglected, no parental care, and the person has decided that the person has no future, and therefore what is the person living for? The person is not living for a future, and therefore the person must end it up and now.
Well, I think that was so pathetic, and but there's nothing we can do about it. And
Bugalabu, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so, Mrs. Elizabeth, what are the measures that we can take, if not totally eradicated, but reduce the rate of suicide to a large extent?
Thank you. There are a lot of things to be done. Like I said earlier, now I will go deep into them. There are a lot to be done by everyone. We'll have our roles in this. From families, we need to care, sincerely care, and then we need to stop having favorite siblings or children from the parents now, and watch our children carefully. Like he said, when there are changes in people's behavior, it could be withdrawal and it could be excitement. Some of these mental ailments come with excitement. You see the person become overly excited, laughs at every little thing that normally he or she wouldn't laugh at. So you watch these things and then call the person and bring the person closer. Then as friends and colleagues, we also have ways of handling this. And this is also by being friends with everyone. You don't have to be, oh, this is my, like, let's go and eat with everyone. No. But you can care about people by when you come, how are you today? How is everything? You ask questions. And from government, they have a lot to do. Let me go to churches first. From the churches, we have welfare systems. Some churches do have welfare systems. And let's see, some people just focus on paying school fees, but we should break it down, come to the grassroots. There are people who really don't have that food to eat, but we see them come to church, and all we do is, I am well dressed, I don't want this tattered child coming close to me, or this woman. You don't want to associate. Caring about the person really doesn't mean that the person has brought you down from your high level, but it actually has given the person hope to move on, that he or she can associate. And then the church will have a welfare system where they check their members to be sure that this person who hasn't visited is not ill or doesn't have food to eat, or something is wrong somewhere and we're not caring. So you just have to find a way of doing this. Some churches are doing it, and they should keep up doing that, and others should also learn from this. Then apart from this, there is a spiritual aspect to this too. Because I believe that one of the measures that can be taken is, both from family and from church, is to imbibe the fear, not just churches, whatever religion you believe in. Because there is no religion that encourages suicide. If we go to the Christian, they condemn it. We go to the Muslims, they condemn it. Then go to the traditional system, it's condemned. Because I remember that people who commit suicide are usually buried in the evil forest, which means the society rejects them. It is a stigma on the family that a member of the family committed suicide. Then in the village, if someone wants to marry, they'll say, that one that brother has committed suicide or sister has committed. It becomes a stigma on the family. So the society, the traditional system and our other religious systems also do not accept this. So when you're raising a child and you put the fear of God in that child, the child thinks that, if I take my life, it's a sin against God, and God will welcome me. So I have to find another way. Taking my life is not the way out. In our heads, we also have different voices speaking to us. Even you, as you're here, you're presenting your program, and then you hope I'm impressing my director. Hope I am impressing the people that trained me. It's in your head, but some people's voices are louder than yours, and they can't control it. In a federal university this last exam, that was last month, a student in the middle of an exam started screaming, they're laughing at me. And then the examiner had to run to the person, and then the person's friend was there. It was a female, and her friend was there, and they guided her out. And she's like, I can see them, they're looking at me, they're saying I can't make it in life, they're saying I'll fail my exam. Her voice was louder than the one you're hearing, but we'll hear it at one time or the other. But then, this is where the government comes in. What system do we have to help this girl at that moment? Do we stop her from exam and take her home? Or do we have a system to take care of her at that moment in that school? So the government has to find a way of having welfare system for these people, counselors in every university, even from primary school, because you don't know what a child is going through at home, who the child is living with, that when the child comes to school, sleeps or thinks of not disappointing anyone, or what I'm going to do when I get back at home. So the counseling can start from primary school. And then when it comes to the university, every department should have a counselor attached to them, where they can come to speak up their mind, to speak their mind. I said speak up. They can come here and speak up
without being judged, without them being exposed, and without everyone knowing that they have visited you. So the system has to be brought up. This system has to be introduced in schools, then in workplaces too, because people are so coming from different places. So this comes in. Then in hospitals, there are people that might have accident. Imagine a student, for instance, has accident and then is taken to the hospital and exam is going on. Okay, another student died during exam last term too, last semester, during the last exam last month in a federal university, same federal university, and he's an amputee. He couldn't continue his exam. He wrote the exam halfway and then was taken to the hospital. He died in the hospital. He didn't finish his exam. Now imagine that in that hospital,
let's assume that he survived the ailment at him because the leg was already infected. So let's imagine that he survived it. In his head, he's like, oh, I just gained admission, I'm in 100 level, and I can't continue my exam. Where will my life lead me? My mates are moving on. Can I continue with one leg? Won't people laugh at me? How will I write the exam alone, not in the midst of others again? So there should be social workers who will help them. There should be psychologists who will also help them because they need counseling, they need to be encouraged, and they need their significant others at that moment. And it's only the social worker who's there that is ready to bring the social life back to them. So the hospitals also, every hospital, these things should be passed into law in this country for a good welfare system in hospitals. There are people who are there, can't pay their bills. We hear of people abandoning their children. This is not because some abandon them. Even in UCH, go ask for records. I'm sure they will give you. People who abandon their children because they can't pay the bills. So now we'll come to the communities. We're talking about people now who are in school, and what of those market women? What of those uneducated young people who are hawk things around and who have small kiosks? Can we say because they are not there they won't get welfareism? No, there should be a system for them too. And this system shouldn't just be in local government. It shouldn't be in the headquarters. It should also be brought down to communities, even in villages, such that they can easily walk up to them and be able to get the system, the treatment they want, the counseling that they want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So, doctor.
Okay. Well, I will, from where she stopped, I will take it up from there. Now, such people need your confidence. If they perceive that you want to make jest of them or you want to make a show of them, they may not want to own up. They may not want to, tell you things that are happening to them. So they must be able to hold you in confidence. And you must also be able to reassure them that such a problem they are going through as a problem, as a solution. There is every problem, there is a solution to every problem. You have to reassure them that. And our sister here has spoken much about welfareism. It starts from the government, but don't let us forget the individuals too. You see, we can take it off. We live together in a community. Anybody that wants to commit, suicide, has always been living with somebody else. So even where fear, where fear is, it should start from us.
Okay.
Let us be our brother's keepers. So if you see somebody with a mood swing or whatever, maybe the person is more excited than usual. So why can't you approach him or her and be a friend, be his friend? Look at what is happening. Look at what you can do. If you are unable to do something, you have to seek help from the higher authorities. For example, students here, if you see some of your friends, some of your mates who are misbehaving somehow, quickly tell the authority about it. Don't let it happen before you will now tell us that, I saw him or I saw her, doing this, doing that. Let us know immediately so that, an immediate action will be taken.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that beautiful contribution. Biblically, you do not have the right to take your life. Even legally, you do not have the right to take your life. Even though you are going through difficulties, do not take your life. Instead, you speak up.
Yeah, just as our guest has said, to every problem there is always a solution. Suicide is a crime, not only to God, but remember, against humanity. That is where we'll come to the end of today's episode. Thank you, Saz and Ma, for taking out time to honor our invitation. We sincerely do appreciate. And to our viewers at home, we sincerely appreciate you. You all have been an amazing audience. I would love to, it will be a big blunder to me not to appreciate all the production crew that we work together on the set. My cameraman, the continuity manager, the props and set, my own amiable costumier, the director, the producer, and to our most distinguished executive directors in person of Dr. Mary Okocha and Mr. Victor Adefemi, and to everyone who worked tirelessly and effortlessly to make this episode a success. On this note, we'll be calling it a day. This program, Speak Up, comes up every Thursday at the hours of 10 a.m. to 10:35 a.m. Once again, I'm Oluwadamilare Adeyemi.
There can be no us without you. Thank you all once again for being a part of the program. I am Oluwabukola Popola. See you next week, same time, same station. Uniosun 406 TV.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.